Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You've been through storms others didn't see. You've carried silent battles in your heart while smiling on the outside. You didn't complain, and even when the weight of life bent your soul, you didn't break. You stayed in sujood when people thought you'd quit. And now, listen carefully. July isn't just another month for you. It's the month Allah will show you that every tear you dropped was recorded, every heartbreak was counted, and every prayer whispered in the night was not forgotten. Yes, chosen one, July will prove that you passed the test. You see, Allah doesn't test the weak with what He tested you. If you were average, your test would have been easy. But you're not average, you are chosen. Chosen not because you're perfect, but because you remained patient when things didn't make sense. And that's what made Allah proud of you. Not your perfection, but your persistence. Not your strength, but your submission. That moment when you said, Ya Allah, I don't understand, but I still trust you. That was the moment you passed. Now look around you. The same environment that once suffocated you is about to witness your elevation. Allah hid your growth for a reason. Because roots grow underground before the tree breaks the surface. You were being rooted in faith, so now you can rise in purpose. July is the beginning of that rise. Your breakthrough isn't luck, it's divine orchestration. Your name is being whispered in gatherings you're not even aware of. Angels have recorded your perseverance. The gates that seemed closed are not broken. They're being opened with divine timing. And maybe you've been questioning, was any of it worth it? Let me answer with certainty. Yes. That moment you refused to curse your situation and instead said, Alhamdulillah. It echoed louder in the heavens than you know. That one time you gave in secret even when you had little. That one time you forgave even when it hurt. All of it was seen. And now the reward is coming. Not because July is magical, but because your journey is being acknowledged. You didn't survive to stay hidden. You survived so you could become a sign. You will be a living proof that Allah honors those who endure. You will be the reminder to others that sabr is never in vain. That trusting Allah in darkness brings light in the most unexpected ways. July is not random. It is marked for you. And you'll feel it, not just in answered du'as, but in the peace that suddenly settles in your heart. That inner knowing that Allah is near and responding. So don't get casual now. July is not for slowing down. It's for leaning deeper into the one who carried you through. Keep doing that one thing you did all along. Trusting Him. Don't shift your posture just because the pressure is easing. Stay bowed, stay grateful, stay humble. Because your test may have ended, but your elevation is just starting. And if this is the beginning of your rise, make sure it's built on the same foundation that got you here. Faith, patience, and sincere love for your Creator. You might not realize it yet, but everything is already shifting in your favor. Silently, powerfully, and divinely. The pain you carried for so long is losing its grip. The confusion that clouded your vision is starting to clear, and the heaviness that sat on your chest like a weight is slowly lifting. Not because of any worldly strategy, but because Allah has decided you've endured long enough. There is something sacred about those who go through intense hardship and still choose to say, Alhamdulillah. That phrase, coming from a heart that has suffered and stayed loyal, has a different weight in the heavens. You said it when it hurt. You whispered it when you were unsure. And that's why the divine response is arriving. Because you praised Him not just when life was beautiful, but when it was breaking you. And that is the praise of the chosen ones. Don't let the quietness of your current season deceive you. Silence does not mean absence. Delay does not mean denial. In fact, Allah has a pattern. Before He shows the world what He's about to do in someone's life, He hides them. He conceals them. He lets them be misunderstood. He watches as they are overlooked and underestimated, only to raise them in a way no one can deny when the time is right. And beloved, your time is now closer than you think. You see, July is not just going to change your surroundings. It's going to change you. The version of yourself that struggled to believe, that questioned your worth, that begged for answers, that version is being replaced. Allah is restoring your spirit. He's rebuilding your confidence, not through ego, but through clarity. You will wake up with wisdom you didn't ask for, and peace that cannot be explained. And perhaps you've been looking for confirmation. Maybe you've been saying, Ya Allah, just give me a sign that this storm is ending. Then consider this moment that sign. The fact that you're hearing these words is no coincidence. You were led to this exact message because Allah knew what you needed to be reminded of. You didn't break. You bloomed in secret. And now you're being sent to shine in public. The betrayal, the loss, the delays, they weren't meant to destroy you. They were pruning you. Just as a tree must be trimmed to grow stronger, Allah removed what couldn't go with you into your next season. Not everyone was meant to cross this threshold with you, and that's not a punishment. That's protection. You've been chosen to walk paths others never dared to walk. And now you'll be shown blessings others won't be able to comprehend. So what should you do now? Don't beg for what you've outgrown. Don't chase what Allah removed. Don't look back at closed doors and wonder, why? That part of your life is over. You've outgrown it. And July will prove it to you. Focus instead on realigning your heart. Clean your intentions. Purify your actions. Keep your tongue wet with remembrance. Stay close to your salah like it's your lifeline, because it is. If you can hold on a little longer, you'll see it. That one phone call that changes everything. That one opportunity that makes up for all the closed ones. That one moment where you'll cry, not from pain this time, but from joy so overwhelming that you'll know, without a doubt, that it came straight from the heavens. That moment is coming. And it's coming in July. There's something powerful that happens when your heart remains loyal to Allah despite the delays. When your soul says, Ya Allah, I still trust you, even after months of waiting with no sign. That's not weakness. That's spiritual strength. And do you know what makes this moment of your life special? It's that you didn't break when the silence felt like abandonment. You didn't run away when things didn't make sense. You stayed. You held on. You prayed anyway. You fasted anyway. You smiled anyway. And in the silence, you whispered His name. That right there is the moment the unseen world turned its gaze to you. Angels were instructed to record every tear, every sigh, every night you resisted sin just to please Allah, even though it felt like you were left behind. You thought July came as just another page on the calendar. But in the realm of the unseen, it came with a proclamation. The test has reached its conclusion, and the one tested has remained upright. You might not see a crowd cheering. You might not receive a certificate. But trust me, your name has been whispered in a gathering far more honorable than any human award ceremony. And that's the thing about divine recognition. It's quiet, but heavy. Invisible, but undeniable. Sometimes the reason why the test dragged on wasn't because you were being punished, but because the value of the lesson had to mature within you. Allah wasn't trying to hurt you. He was sculpting you. He wasn't delaying the blessing. He was enlarging the vessel of your heart to carry something greater. Now, July has arrived not to hand you relief like a package at your door, but to reveal what you've become during the wait. You're no longer the person who began this test. You've grown spiritually without even noticing. Your eyes don't search for validation the way they used to. Your tongue has become more protective of its words. Your prayers are deeper. Your patience has stretched. And your love for Allah? It's now rooted in more than just blessings. It's rooted in trust. This month, everything may not change overnight, but one thing surely will. You will no longer feel like the waiting was pointless, because now, the signs will start to align in ways that feel divinely tailored. Conversations will echo words you've only said to Allah in secret. Doors you never knew existed will begin to open with ease. And situations that used to overwhelm you will now look small compared to the strength you've silently built. It's not magic. It's not coincidence. It's Allah saying, "Now it's time to show you what I was preparing while you thought nothing was happening." And the best part is, July isn't your reward. It's just the beginning of a new level. And if you're wondering how to keep walking now that things are shifting, let me remind you, walk slowly, but walk faithfully. Don't rush the new chapter just because you endured the previous one. Allah is not in a hurry. He's not just restoring what was lost. He's rebuilding it better, deeper, stronger. In you first, then around you. Let July remind you that the season of planting is behind you. You've done the inner work. Now the season of sprouting is at your doorstep. Just don't forget, the same Allah who tested you in the dark is the one now ready to elevate you in the light. Keep doing what made you pass the test. Stay humble. Stay grateful. Stay hidden if needed. Because sometimes the best rewards are those Allah gives when no one else is watching. There is something majestic about divine timing. It moves without noise but delivers results louder than any announcement. July isn't just a month. It's a signal. A sacred whisper from above that says, "Now." And what's about to unfold will silence the doubts you've buried for too long. You see, when Allah puts you through extended tests, it's never because you're forgotten. It's because you're trusted with the weight of something others can't carry. So if the last few months have felt like silence from the heavens, don't mistake it for abandonment. Allah has been preparing your moment. July is not random. July is your stage. And guess who's sitting front row to witness it? The same angels who recorded your patience when no one else saw it. You were being sculpted in isolation while the world continued spinning. Your prayers, some tear-stained, some whispered through exhaustion, have not been in vain. Allah counted every single one, not metaphorically, literally. The one who says, "Not a leaf falls, but that He knows it," has surely kept track of your midnight tears and trembling du'as. Now is the time those silent sacrifices become visible rewards. You might look around and not see anything yet, but don't mistake delay for denial. The most divine answers come without warning. You blink, and what was locked becomes open. What was distant stands right before you. What you thought was over blooms. Here's the thing people don't always admit. Tests are lonely. The crowd thins out when the burden gets heavier. But this loneliness wasn't a curse. It was the filter. It was Allah cleaning the space around you, so when the reward arrives, there's no one to share the credit with but Him. You were tested for months, so your heart could learn what the tongue doesn't always say. Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is enough for me, and He is the best disposer of affairs. You've said it when it hurt. Now you'll say it with joy. Some of you have felt invisible. You showed up for people who disappeared when you needed them most. You gave when you had little. You stayed kind when you were mistreated. That wasn't weakness. That was your proof. That's what heaven was watching. That's what your test was all about. And guess what? The results are in. July isn't about waiting anymore. It's about watching. Watching how Allah shifts the atmosphere in your favor. Watching how the ones who overlooked you are now asking how you held on. Watching how every no was just a redirection to a better yes. If your heart has been restless, it's because it senses something is near. Something you didn't chase but were chosen for. Allah doesn't waste pain, not even a second of it. The same minutes that broke you are now the ones that qualify you. July is your divine certification, heaven's signature on your endurance. No more guessing, no more doubting whether you heard right, whether you did enough. You did. You passed. Now let him write your story in bold. What if I told you that July is not just a moment of blessing, but a reversal of patterns that kept you locked in old versions of yourself? What if every night you endured in pain was actually peeling layers off your soul? Layers that could not go with you into this next season. You see, when Allah prepares you for something higher, He first breaks the parts of you that were built on fear, attachment, and impatience. And sometimes, He doesn't warn you before the storm. He just sends it. You wake up one day, and everything feels unfamiliar. The people you trusted shift. The path you thought was solid begins to shake. And your soul, your tired, weary soul, starts asking, why is everything falling apart? But listen carefully. It wasn't falling apart. It was falling into place. Because you cannot enter a July of divine manifestation with the mindset of a December that tested your faith. The weight had to break. The distractions had to be removed. The old version of you had to die. So what's about to rise can finally breathe. This new version of you, the one Allah has been sculpting quietly while the world thought you were finished, is about to walk into answered prayers. Not small ones. The kind you didn't even know how to ask for. The kind you gave up on 3 years ago. The kind you whispered in sujood thinking, maybe not me, maybe I'm not worthy. But Allah never based His giving on your worth. He based it on your surrender. And surrender? Oh, that's what you've done. You surrendered your timeline, your logic, your plans. You didn't fight the test. You endured it. You didn't complain, even when no one noticed your silent battles. You waited while others mocked, while doors closed, while opportunities skipped your name. You waited with dignity. That's why your July isn't just about reward. It's about recognition. Allah is letting the world see the version of you that only He saw in secret. The version that still prayed when you were tired. The version that still believed when your heart was shattered. The version that chose taqwa over comfort. And now, Allah is sending signs, sudden opportunities, random peace, conversations you didn't expect, shifts in your intuition. The heaviness is lifting, not by coincidence, but by divine order. He's cleaning your space. He's aligning you with people who carry the same light. He's silencing the noise of the past and amplifying the signal of what's next. So don't be surprised if you feel different. Don't be alarmed if your energy has changed. That's what elevation feels like. It separates before it lifts. Your thoughts are clearer now. Your heart is softer. You're noticing things you used to ignore, because now you're not operating from survival, but from submission. You finally trust the timing. You finally trust that if Allah withheld it before, it was mercy, not rejection. This month is about reflection, yes, but it's also about restoration. You're not recovering what you lost. You're receiving what was reserved. There's a difference. What you lost was temporary. What's coming is sacred. And the one who holds the keys to the unseen has written your name on it. It's already been decided in the unseen. Now you're just watching it arrive in the scene. There is something beautiful that happens when Allah finally opens a door you were locked out of for months, maybe even years. It's not just a door. It's a proof. It's a stamp from the most merciful saying, yes, you were patient. Yes, you were sincere. Yes, you stayed. And when that moment arrives, the heart feels something no human language can fully explain. This is not just a breakthrough, it's a divine declaration. And for many of you, July is holding that divine message like a sealed letter from the heavens. A letter that reads, "Congratulations, my servant. You passed the test. I was always watching." But let's be honest, the tests almost broke you. There were nights where your tears were your only companions. Days when your strength collapsed under the weight of uncertainty. You looked around and it felt like others were flying past you, building lives, ticking goals, posting milestones, while you were stuck on pause, waiting on something to move. But here's the divine twist. You weren't stuck. You were being stabilized. While others were moving fast on sand, Allah was planting your feet in rock. Because when it's time for your rise, He wants it to last. And tests? They are the chisels Allah uses to carve your soul into someone who can carry what you asked for. You know, sometimes we think we're waiting for Allah to deliver. But in truth, Allah is waiting for us to become the version of ourselves who can handle the blessing. That's why the blessing takes so long sometimes. It's not delayed, it's refined. And the more valuable the gift, the more intense the fire that forges you for it. So now that July is here, your soul may begin to notice subtle shifts. A peace that wasn't there before. A clarity in your heart. An unexpected message. A door that suddenly opens with no explanation. That's not random. That's not coincidence. That is Allah's perfect timing doing what it always does. Arriving in silence but speaking volumes. And in this moment, I want you to take a breath. Not just any breath, but a breath of faith. Exhale every ounce of fear, because the chapter is changing. The waiting has not been wasted. The hardship has not gone unnoticed. Your du'as did not disappear into space. They went to the throne of the Most High, and He preserved them until the time was right. July is not magic. July is simply the moment your soul catches up to what Allah already ordained. It is the fulfillment of a process He started in you long ago. Now, I promised you a prayer at the end. So wherever you are right now, listening with hope, listening with pain, or listening with cautious faith, bring your heart close for this moment. Ya Allah, You are the one who hears the cries of the silent, who sees the struggles no one else can detect. You know the battles your servant has faced. You know the pain hidden behind their smile, the patience behind their silence, and the sincerity in their broken du'as. Ya Rahman, reward them with something so beautiful, so powerful, so undeniable, that it makes every single hardship make sense. Ya Rab, let July be their month of ease. Let it be a month where doors open, hearts heal, strength returns, and your light floods every corner of their life. Ameen.